Hello and welcome to this tutorial. My name is Siobhan. I'm from Business GT, and today I'm going to be showing you how to build and send email campaigns from within the system. So I'm going to go through how to set up an email template using one of our core templates, how to then change the structure of that email, so using columns and rows, how to design the email, so using styling and things like that, adding text and images, setting up calls to action. So these are links that then when someone clicks on them, you'll know and can then follow up that lead. And I'll also show you how to actually send the campaign. So I'll just open up the system. I'm already logged in to my tutorial system. That's mysystem.businessgt.co.uk. And I'm going to make my way to the email campaign section using the app menu in the top right of the screen. So here at the top, you can see I've got this menu here. I've got sent campaigns, saved campaigns, my email templates, new campaign, and tracking manager. First, I'm going to set up my email template. So this is what the email's actually going to look like. So I'm going to go into my email template. And you can see here, so I've got a selection of my own emails. I can also access other people's emails. These are ones that other people have built. So at the moment it's just me, so there's no other emails there. But I've also got the core template. So this is where I'm going to start today. I'm going to select a category for email templates here. And you can see I've now got available these templates. So these are just kind of pre-made structures that you can then add your own content into. So I'm going to select this simple one here, the just text one. So I'll click that. And what it's now asking me to do is name a category for it, actually name the email and give it a subject as well. So I'm going to put this in, I'm going to create an email that is a newsletter. So I'll put this in the newsletters category. I'm going to name it June newsletter. And I'll use that same name for the email subject. So this is obviously what appears in the subject line when you actually send the email. So I'm going to click OK, and you can then see that in my emails here, I've then created a category for newsletters, and my email template appears here. So what I now want to do is go into that by clicking on the name, and now I can start editing this email. So to start off with, what we do is we click this checkbox here that says Edit Email, and this puts it in edit mode. So you can see I've now got a grid around my email. So this leads into, I'll show you how to structure this email. So if on the right hand side here, I want to add a row, and I'll show you what that looks like. So I'll click that. And you can now see at the bottom of the email, I've added a row, and it looks like there's 6 cells in one line. This is how the email is structured by default. So you're working on a grid of 6 across. But obviously, as you can see up here, we've got a full width piece of content. And the way that we do that is if we click into one of these cells, it brings up this toolbar on the right-hand side where we can use all of these icons to make any changes to the email that we want. So what I'm going to do is click here, which this icon here is set column span, because what I'm trying to do is set a half-width column. So I'll click that. And it then says choose the number of columns to span. So in this particular cell, I want it to span 3 columns. So that's 3 out of the 6 columns that I've got available. You can scroll down and see just there. So I've now got a half-width column. And I'll do the same in this cell here. So I've got 2 half-width columns. That sets column span. And I'll select 3 again. Now you can also do the same if I click in here and bring up the toolbar. You can also do the same with rows. So you can structure the email however you like and use as many columns as you like as well. So that's how we get to the kind of structure of the email that we want. Now, the next and obviously most important thing is how to actually change the content or text in the email. So again, if we click into the cell that we want to edit to bring up its little toolbar, this icon here just on the end, the text one, I can click that, which then allows me to edit the text. I can use all of these tools at the top here. So I'll highlight all of that to delete it. And I want to call this, so this is a June newsletter. newsletter, and I'll just type here's some content. So I can now style this text however I like using these tools at the top. So I'm going to make the title slightly larger. I'm going to center everything using this icon here, justify center. So it's a very simple tool at the top, so it's very similar to Word. I'll also change the color slightly, just to make that slightly off black, for example. And I can also change the font. So we've got some basic fonts to choose from. Now you might find that you want to put in some slightly more obscure fonts. We don't have those available in the system, and the reasoning for that is that a lot of email clients, so for example Outlook or Gmail, don't allow anything other than basic fonts. So if you did choose, for example, a Google font and then sent it in an email and the client didn't recognize it, it might, for example, just change it to Times New Roman or one of these basic ones. But just so you're in control of how that email looks, we recommend using one of these. So I'll go with Arial. And when I'm done making those changes, I'll just click Save at the bottom here. So you can see there that that's now put that text in for me. Now at the top here, you can see that I've got a placeholder image in this core template that I've used. So I want to change that to an image of my own. So I'll click into that cell to bring up that toolbox again. And at the end here, I've got a little camera icon. I'll just click that, which brings up this window here. Now, I can now either choose an existing image that's in my library, so one that I've already uploaded. So if I click search here, that will then open up this window, the library window, where I can either choose an existing image. So for example, this cat one here, I can click the green tick at the end, and that will automatically put that in the email for me. I can also upload into my library from here as well. The more direct way of doing that is if I click to bring up this toolbar again and go into the image settings, I can choose a file right from here, which will open up the file browser on my PC. So I will choose this image here, for example. This is the main image that we use for our Business GT branding. I'll click Upload, and straight away that's just put that in that cell for me. And you can add as many images as you like into your email, just using that simple upload process. Now we can also change the styling of the email, so we can add a bit more design to it. So if we click into a cell, we've got in the toolbar this S icon here, which is the styling. So if I click on that, it brings up the cell styling message box. Now I can set both the background color of that cell in particular, and I can also add a border as well. So in the background color, I can either type just the name of a color, so for example, gray, or I can be a bit more specific. So I can use what's called a hex code. So I'll use 6 E's in a row, which is just a slightly lighter gray. And I'll save that to show you what that looks like. So you can see there's a slight gray color there. I can also add a border. So I'll have a border of, so the width is 1 pixel. I'll set the color to be black, and I'll keep that as a solid line style. So I can either have dashed, dotted, or solid, but I'll leave that as solid and click Save. So you can see that's added that border for me there. So you can carry on building your email just like that, so adding images and text and styling it as you'd like. But the meat of the email, so what we really want people to do is respond to this email, and they can do that in one of 2 ways. So they can either click on a link in the email, or they can reply directly. Now, if they click on a link in the email, we want to know about it. So we want to be able to allocate that to a member of staff so that they can follow up. And the way that we do that is by setting up a call to action. And I'll show you how to do that. So if I click into this cell here, I'll bring up my toolbar. And I'm going to click the call to action icon here, which is near the end, which brings up the call to action settings. So I can either choose to have an image call to action, so I might like to have a button, or text, which I can just put in this text box here. What I'd like to do in this instance is I'm going to select a button image that I've already uploaded to my library. So I'll click select, and here's my button that just says start now. I'll click the tick icon, so use this, and that's put the image ID in there, so I can just leave that as it is. What I then need to select is the target page URL. So this is where the user or recipient of this email is going to be directed when they actually click on this link. So in this example, I'll direct them to the Business Growth Tool website. Now what we'll do is specify what's going to happen when they do click on this link. So it will create an item in the sales funnel using the settings that you enter here. So I'm going to specify a user, so whose sales funnel is this going to go into? So I'm the only user at the moment, so it'll go into my sales funnel. I'm going to send this email campaign to potential customers, so they'll be in the potential customers funnel. The status will be click, because they'll have clicked on this email, and that's how I'd like that record to be noted. I'll give those a low priority, just to kind of separate them out from all of the any important calls or meetings that I've got scheduled. I can set the likelihood, so this is the likelihood of this contact becoming a paying customer. So for now, I'm going to set that low, because it's at the moment, we'll imagine this is just their first kind of interaction with my business. So a click, we'll call that 3% likelihood. I can now then set the value were this deal to go ahead. So if they were to become a paying customer, what would the value of that customer be? So I'll say, for example, £50. I'll then name the campaign, so I'll call this June newsletter, just so I know which campaign they've clicked on. And I'm also going to add a comment to go in the sales funnel. So because we can add as many calls to action as we'd like in the email, what we can do here is specify which call to action they've clicked on. So for example, in here, I'm going to say, clicked on the Start Now button. And what this is really good for is kind of differentiating between what people are interested in. So for example, if you wanted to send an email to your contacts with a list of products or services, and set each one of those services up as a call to action, you could then gauge how many people have clicked on service 1 versus service 2 and use it to kind of generate insight into what people are actually interested in. So I'm going to save that, and you can see that's stuck in my call to action just there. So that it's all kind of uniform in my email, I'm going to click on that, and I can also edit the styling as well. So I'm going to make that background color the same, and click Save. And I'll do the same for this column here as well. So that's a really, really basic email setup now. And now that I'm ready to send that, I'm just going to click Save on the whole email. And I'm going to close that window. So now I'm actually ready to send my campaign. I'm going to make my way back to this page, the email campaign's main page, which I've got to using the app menu here. And in this top menu here, I'm going to click New Campaign. And here's where I start actually specifying the settings for this particular campaign. So I'm going to call this June newsletter. That's the campaign name. And now I'm going to specify the contact group that I'm going to send this to. So you can see I've got all of my contact groups here. I've got one for existing customers. If I click on that contact group, it will then tell me how many valid people are in that contact group. If you don't have your contact group already set up, if you look at the Get Started tutorial video, in that video, I run through how to upload contacts and also how to add them into contact groups so that you've got them ready for use in other areas of the system, like here. So for now, I just want to send it to myself. So I'm going to select the administrator group, because at the moment that's only got me in it. I'm going to select my template on the right-hand side here. So this is the template that I've just created. So I'll find it in the newsletters category. I'm going to click on the name. That will then show me this email here that I've just created. I can make any changes that I'd like here, just in case I want a few tweaks, so I can click to edit the email and make any changes that I'd like. When I'm happy with that, I'll then click use this message. And when I'm ready to send, I'll then click save. So that will now be able to, I'll be able to, if I want to, come back at that later, and that'll be in my saved campaigns section. But now I'm ready to send, so I'll click send. And now what this page is doing is it's just checking that you have a suitable email limit, so that you are able to send your campaign either today or tomorrow. And if I do happen to be exceeding my limit with this campaign, what it will do is it will schedule the leftover amount to be sent tomorrow, and I'll let the system know the best time to send, so that if they are sent tomorrow, then I'm then in control of when that is sent. So I'll leave that at 9:30. What I'd also like to do when I send this campaign is actually create a record, not just when someone clicks, but I want to create a record in the sales funnel that they've actually been sent the email. So I'm going to tick this box here, which is add email to funnel. And that will then bring up this selection section here, where I can specify the funnel status and priority in a similar way as the call to action settings. So I want these to go into my potential customers funnel at a status of email with a priority of low again, and I'll put a message in here. So I'll just put email sent, and it was the June newsletter, just so that this will then show up in the contact history in the sales funnel. So if I click OK, that campaign has now been scheduled, and it will be sent whenever I specify, so at 9:30. So because I've set it at 9:30 and it is now in the afternoon, that will just go straight away. If I close that. So now that we've sent a campaign, we want to know how it went. So we can do that in one of two ways. In the email campaigns section, we've got this Sent Campaigns tab. So if I click on that, I can then see all of the campaigns that have been sent. So you can see I've got a few test campaigns in here that I've just sent to myself. So I can see the name of the email. So here's the one I just sent, the June newsletter. The date, it's currently a work in progress. It's not yet complete. You can see the user who sent it, as well as the contact group that it was sent to, and the number of recipients as well. And the important bit here is the responded and the views columns. So I can see, for example, here's one I sent earlier, the May newsletter. I can see that one person has responded, which means that one person has clicked on one of the calls to action in that email. So if I click on that number 1, I'll then get a list of who it is that's actually clicked. So you can see that I've clicked that there, and you can see the date and time as well. You'll also be able to see how many people viewed your email. Now the viewed number should be taken with quite a big pinch of salt, because the way that the viewed number is calculated is if you have images in your email, it's how many people actually viewed the images. And this is standard across most email campaign senders. The reason this should be taken with a pinch of salt is that a lot of people by default don't allow images to be downloaded from new senders. But it's a good metric to be able to see through different campaigns. It's a good measure to kind of compare campaigns and get a kind of relative gauge of how many people have viewed. Now we can also see in the sales funnel, we want to go look at those records that have been created when someone has clicked, so that we can start working on them and following up, maybe give them a phone call. So if I make my way to the sales funnel using the app menu, that's this funnel icon here. Now at the top you can see, so I'm in my potential customers thread. I'm viewing my own sales funnel I've got the date set to include today, which means that I can see that today I've got one item under the status click. If I click on that number 1, it will then bring up this detail down here. So I can see the company name of the person who clicked, the campaign, so the main newsletter, and I can also see what they clicked on. So this is where you can generate some real insights. So for example, we know that this click in particular, someone clicked on a Start Now link. Now if I sent a obviously much larger campaign, I'll be able to see who'd clicked on multiple links and kind of generate real insight there. So that concludes the email campaigns tutorial. If you would like any further information, if you make your way to businessgrowthtool.co.uk/learning support, there's plenty of materials there. And as always, if you need any support, if you email me at siobhan@businessgt.co.uk, I'm always happy to help. Thank you for watching.